Now we will begin with the Shanti mantra of this Upanishad. We are going to deal with Mandukya Upanishad. The Shanti mantra of this Upanishad is found in the Rigveda Samhita and also Taittiriya Aranyaka. If you have the textbook with you, you will find here Shanti mantra. Om Bhadram Garnebhih Shrunuyama Devaha Bhadram Pashyemakshabhir Yajatraha Sthirairangai Stuštuvamsastanubhih Vyasema Devahitam Yadayuh Sustina Indro Vruddhasavaha Sustina Pusha Vishwavedaha Sustina Starkshu Arishtanemihi Sustino Brihaspadir Dadhatu Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. This is the Shanti mantra of this Upanishad. I shall give a brief description of this Shanti mantra because this is very important. First I shall put this in prose order. Then I shall translate in English. Deva karnebhihi vayam bhadram shrunuyamaha yajatraha bhadram pashyema sthiraihi angaihi tanubhihi vayam tuštuvamsa devahitam yad ayuhu tad vyasema vruddhasavaha indraha na sustir dadhadu vishwavedaha na sustir dadhadu arishtanemihi tarkshaha na sustir dadhadu. This is the prose order of this Vedic mantra, which is very ancient, which comes in Taittiriya Aranyaka and also the Rigveda Samhita. Now I shall translate in English. It's a prayer to gods. Prayer for our physical health, health of the senses, health of the mind and intellect that will enable us to continue and complete the study of the sacred text. O gods, may we hear with our ears what is auspicious. That is the meaning of the first mantra. Bhadram karnebhihi shrunuyama deva. May we hear only auspicious things everywhere. May we see with our eyes what is auspicious. May we offer our praise to all gods with our body, mind and intellect. In order to be able to pray, to continue our prayer to God, we need physical strength and health. So, please bless us with physical and intellectual strength and health. May the great God Indra be always well disposed to us. May the omniscient Pusha, the sun, be always propitious to all of us. In other words, it's a prayer for the good of the whole creation. This is the well-known prayer of the Mandukya Upanishad. Now I shall come to the subject of Mandukya Upanishad. Now, we have already studied Ishavasya Upanishad. Mandukya Upanishad is a very well-known text. And it is important because of Sri Shankaracharya's commentary on this book. I have already explained at the very beginning when I was trying to introduce Ishavasya Upanishad that we have altogether 4 Vedas and we have 10 important Upanishads. Altogether, right now, the full text of 108 Upanishads are available, and partial texts of some other Upanishads are also available. 220 Upanishads together in a combined volume have been brought out by one publishing house in India. Of these Upanishads, 10 Upanishads are considered to be the most important because of the masterly touch of Sri Shankaracharya, who built the superstructure of Advaita philosophy, the philosophy of non-dualism, based upon the teachings of these 10 Upanishads: Isha, Kena, Katha, Prashna, Mundaka, Mandukya, Taittiriya, Aitareya, Chandogya, Brihadaranyaka. These are the 10 Upanishads. Of these, Prashnopanishad, Mundaka Upanishad and Mandukya Upanishad, these three belong to Atharvaveda tradition. Chandogya and Kena Upanishad belong to the Chandogya tradition. Aitareya belongs to Rigveda tradition. Then Taittiriya, Kathopanishad, Brihadaranyaka all belong to the Yajurveda tradition. As I said earlier, the Mandukya Upanishad belongs to Atharvaveda tradition. Now this Upanishad got this name because of its association with the great sage who was known as Mandukya. So the truths, the philosophical and spiritual truths revealed in this Upanishad were realized for the first time by this sage, Mandukya. So this Upanishad got this name Mandukya Upanishad, an Upanishad related to the great sage Mandukya. Now we are going to deal with not only Mandukya Upanishad but also Mandukya Karika. Now Karika is a commentary in metrical form, a brief commentary in metrical form which expounds a distinct philosophical thoughts. Samkshipta Sutra Bhavartha Suchaka Sloka. This is the definition of Karika. So Karika is nothing but a commentary in metrical form, in verse, based on an important text which brings out a distinct philosophical tradition. The Upanishad, as I said earlier, Mandukya Upanishad belongs to Atharvaveda tradition. This Karika, this commentary in verse form, was written by a great saint known as Gaudapada. Gaudapada lived perhaps around 150-170 years before Shankaracharya. There are two well-known dates with regard to Shankaracharya's life. According to some scholars, he was born in 778 AD and lived up to 810, 32 years. According to some other scholars, he was born in 626 AD. These are the two well-known views with regard to the life of Shankaracharya. Anyhow, Gaudapada was supposed to be the great teacher of Shankara. Great teacher means his teacher's teacher. Shankaracharya's teacher was Govinda Bhagavatpada, and Govinda Bhagavatpada's teacher was Gaudapada Acharya. And the importance of this book, Mandukya Karika, is that it is perhaps the most celebrated book on Advaita philosophy belonging to pre-Shankara period. Before Sri Shankaracharya, there have been a few well-known texts which expounded Advaita philosophy. Some of these books are referred to by Sri Ramakrishna Paramahamsa in the Gospel. Adhyatma Ramayana, Yoga Vasishtha, and Ashtavakra Samhita. These are the three well-known books which belong to pre-Shankarite period. Now, Shankaracharya's greatness was that he gave a full-fledged and compact philosophical structure to the philosophy of non-dualism. Before Sri Shankaracharya, the idea of Advaita or non-dualistic philosophy existed because it is as old as Rigveda itself. But a complete and compact philosophical structure expounding its metaphysics, its ontology, its cosmology, its logic and theory of knowledge, epistemology, all these ideas were not clearly expounded by pre-Shankaracharya philosophers. I shall first deal with this Mandukya Upanishad and then come to Karika. Karikas are very simple verses, much more simple than the Upanishad text itself, but it is highly philosophical and highly logical. Karikas are total 215 in number. I shall say a few things about the distinct philosophical approach of this Upanishad. Now, we have already seen in Ishavasya Upanishad. Ishavasya Upanishad begins with the high idealistic preposition, Ishavasim idam sarvam, yat kinja jagatyam jagat. Whatever there is in this world is pervaded by the one divine spirit. The omnipresence, the omniscience, the immanence and transcendence of the absolute reality are clearly outlined in the Ishavasya Upanishad. There is also an attempt to reconcile between the path of knowledge and the path of devotion. But in Mandukya Upanishad, the approach is slightly different. It asks you to look around the life that is going on around you and look towards yourself. How do we experience this world? First, it analyzes the spectrum of human experience. So let us think of a man who lives for 100 years. Every day, he sleeps for 8 hours and maybe he works for 16 hours. 8 hours he sleeps, 16 hours he works. Now, if he sleeps 8 hours a day, his sleep normally will be divided into two groups, into two categories. Deep sleep, that we call deep sleep. The deep sleep state in which we are not aware of anything. We forget ourselves and we forget the world. We forget whatever we see around us. Which is called in this book Sushupti. The particular word is called Sushupti. Means deep sleep, dreamless sleep. Then there is another kind of sleep which is dream state. It is called Swapna, Swapnavastha and Sushuptyavastha. Avastha, it be used because that particular term will be used in this book. It means state. So, just for understanding your philosophical trend, let us say 4 hours he dreams and 4 hours he enjoys dreamless sleep. And 16 hours he enjoys waking state. Now, if you calculate the amount of the time that he spends in dream state or deep sleep state, you will find both are equal. But we normally count only the experiences related to waking state. The Mandukya Upanishad tells us that in reality there is no difference between the waking state and the experiences we have in dream. That's what the Upanishad says. It may be a bit, some of us will be puzzled. Now, let us say can we say that we lived only for 16 hours a day? Because we worked only for 16 hours, we enjoyed waking state only for 16 hours? We can't say. We live for 24 hours a day. So deep sleep state is also included in the scheme of life, and also dream state. 8 hours divided into dream state and deep sleep state, plus 16 hours belonging to the waking state. But normally, we count only the experiences related to waking state. The Upanishad tells us that in reality, there is not much distinction between the dream state and waking state. In dream state, we experience certain things. Those experiences are not found in the same manner in waking state. In waking state, we experience certain things, but those experiences are different when we experience them in dream state. There is some change. Vedanta tells us that something can be called real with the capital letter R only if it remains unchanging, changeless in waking state, in dream state, and also in deep sleep state. These are three avasthas, three states. So, if it changes from waking state to dream state, it cannot be real in the true sense of the term. So, our experiences in dream state are cancelled or neutralized, cancelled by your experiences in waking state, because there are differences. In waking state, you may have a full meal. If you go to sleep, you may dream that you are hungry. Or when you are hungry, you may go to sleep, and in dream you have a full meal, but you wake up, you remain hungry. So the experiences between dream state and waking state are different. Means they are changing. Therefore, they are not real. So they are equally unreal. So this particular book, Mandukya Upanishad and its Karika by Gaudapada, bring out a unique theory, a doctrine, Vedanta. It's called the theory of non-origination. The world has not been created. There is no world at all. Why? There is only one reality. And that one reality can never be created because it always remains the same. It can never change. If something comes into existence, it cannot be real in the true sense of the term. Because before it came into existence, it did not exist. And anything which comes into existence will vanish. So, they don't remain the same in the three periods of time. And if it changes from past to present and from present to future, it cannot be real in the true sense of the term. It can be only relative. And what is only relatively real and totally unreal are equally unreal from the absolute point of view. From the empirical point of view, from the phenomenalistic point of view, from the relative point of view, there is a difference between our dream experience and waking experience. But both are equally unreal and both are equally devoid of eternal reality, permanent reality. In that sense, they are equally unreal. So, the relative reality or empirical reality of waking state can be admitted only from a purely empirical point of view. From the absolutistic point of view, both dream state and waking state are equally unreal. But Gaudapada doesn't accept that it is that means there is a difference between dream experience and waking experience, even from a point of view of the empirical view. Because Gaudapada takes his stand on the high pedestal of absolutistic idealism. Shankaracharya, sometimes coming down to purely metaphysical level, admits that there is a difference in degree of reality between dream and waking states. But this is only with a view to ultimately make the statement that both are absolutely unreal from the absolutistic point of view. This is the point we have to remember. So first we have to remember what is real. Real is that which remains unchanging in the past, in the present and future, in the waking state, in the dream state, and also in the deep sleep state. And the real or the eternal reality is devoid of the 6 changes which I already explained earlier, which are called Shadvikaras: Jayade, Asti, Vardhade, Viparinamade, Kshiyade, Nasyade. In Sanskrit, in English called something coming to existence. That is a change, because from non-existence it comes into existence. It remains in a state of existence. It grows, it evolves, it begins to decay, and it vanishes, it gets destroyed. These are the 6 changes. Now, the real can never have any of these 6 changes. It can never come into existence because it always existed. It can never cease to exist because it always exists. So you cannot say it exists because you don't say it exists because it never has, it can never have a condition in which it is non-existent. So nobody would say it exists because it always exists. We use the word that it exists only when there is a possibility of its being non-existent. Otherwise we don't use the word it exists. Therefore this reality, this Atman, this Brahman is the only absolute reality which remains unchanging in the 3 states of human experience: in waking state, in dream state, and also in deep sleep state. And it remains the same, unchanging in the past, in the present and future. And it can never have birth, it can never have death, because it always exists. Now, Mandukya Upanishad tells us that there is only one reality which qualifies for the status of absolute reality. And that is called in this Upanishad by the word Turiya, the same as Atman or Brahman. In some other Upanishads, the word Atman may be used, Brahman may be used, but here it is denoted by the word Turiya. Turiya actually means 4th. So one may argue, if it is the 4th state, it is also one of the 4 levels of human experience. No. For that, the Upanishad tells us that this Turiya is the reality which is present in all the 3 states of waking, dream, and deep sleep. Now, suppose there is a building with 3 rooms built one over the other. If an individual, if a person walks from one room to another and so on, he goes up and down from one room to another. We know very well that that person, that individual who moves from the first story to second story and third story and again coming down, that individual should be different from the 3 rooms, because that individual is present. He is a witness. He is present in all the 3 states. Similarly, Turiyan or Atman, as the witness, is present in all the 3 states. But at the same time, it is distinct from all the 3 states, because it is always present. It is not confined to any one of the 3 states. It is present in all the 3 states, which means it is beyond all the 3 states. It is the unchanging reality present in waking state, in dream state, and also in deep sleep state. Now, in some of us may naturally feel, how do we accept the view that there is no difference between dream and waking states? It's very difficult for us to understand. Mandukya Upanishad and his commentary on Shankaracharya refers to no less than 34 different schools of thought which prevailed during Gaudapada's time. 34 schools of thoughts which must have been popular in the 5th and 6th centuries AD, which sometimes questioned the views of Advaita. Now, and the answer is this. In waking state, we experience everything. We have our experience at the gross level. Our experiences are at the gross level in waking state. Because you can never see an object with your mind alone. You need your eyes also. You can never hear something without the help of your ear. So all the 5 senses and mind should cooperate. Then only you can have various perceptions and experiences in waking state. When we walk, we have to use the legs, which are the instruments that we use for walking. We need our eyes to see, and we need our mind also, because mind and eyes should come together, then only we can see something. If you are staring at something and our mind is elsewhere, we may be looking at it, but we won't be seeing it. We can hear the voice of vehicle moving the street only when our mind and ears join together. Right now, maybe the sound waves may be falling in my ears, but my mind is elsewhere. Therefore, I am not able to perceive the presence of a vehicle in the street because I am not able to hear the voice. So, in waking state, our experiences are at the gross level. In dream state, we may have similar identical experiences. In dream state also, we may walk, maybe an individual sleeping in a dark room at midnight with his eyes closed, may dream of walking in the open street in sunlight. He may be seeing different things. He may be running in the garden perhaps. There he sees with his eyes. But there, all these experiences are nothing but the projection of the mind. He may have had similar experiences when he was not sleeping, when he was in waking state. But in dream, all these experiences take place at the subtle level, because senses are not involved, only mind is involved. Mind projects all these experiences, and then we feel we are running in the open street in dream. Now, this Upanishad tells us that the same witness, the same reality, the same Atman called Turiya in this Upanishad is present, perceiving and being witness all these gross experiences in waking state, and the same reality is present having identical or different experiences in dream state. See, there may be similarity between dream experience and waking experience, but they are not the same, because one is subtle, the other is gross. For waking experience, we need the senses of perception, the senses of action, but in dream, only mind is enough. Mind which keeps the memory within projects back all these experiences in dream. So we feel we are running, we are walking, etc. At the subtle level. Now Vedanta tells the same reality as witness is present in waking state as the seer, the one who sees, the one who experiences, the experiencer. And the same experiencer, the same seer, sometimes called drashta in the Sanskrit text, is present in dream. That's why the same man experiences dream. And again, and the fact that it is the same seer which dreams and which also experiences things in waking state is proved by the power of memory, because we remember things. We sometimes in dream we re-experience, we relive our experiences of waking state, because the same Atman, the same reality is present in dream and also in waking state. Now what about the state of dreamless sleep? Dreamless sleep is a state of rest. That's why everyone is anxious to have that deep sleep. Because in deep sleep, we go back to our original source. It is a kind of homecoming. In fact, that is the only real state of rest for an ordinary man. For a highly evolved person, samadhi of the state of transcendental experience is the highest state of rest, in fact. Because whenever we are burdened with impressions and experiences, whenever we are burdened with objects that we see or hear, we always feel this strain, the effort. But in deep sleep state, there is no effort, no strain. So deep sleep state is a natural goal of everyone, because this deep sleep state or dreamless sleep state is characterized by a feeling, by an experience of bliss. It is not joy or happiness. Bliss cannot be defined except through experience. It can only be experienced. When we see a picture, if you are a connoisseur of art, if you are a connoisseur of music, when you hear music or when you see a beautiful picture, and when you forget yourself and forget everything else, that is a state of bliss. That is a spark of that eternal bliss, which is really experienced by a mystic. At the highest level, we call it the mystical experience. The difference is, this state of bliss is peripheral. It is transitory. The moment you come out of the art gallery, you forget about it. The moment you leave the music hall, you forget it. But the state of bliss that you experience in samadhi or in the highest spiritual experience leaves a permanent mark in our mind. We never forget it. We become a different person. But that is a different matter. But still, whatever state which makes you forget yourself and also everything else, and gives you a sense of identity with what you experience, is a state of bliss. This bliss we experience in sushupti or dreamless sleep state. That's why Vedantic texts tell us that in dreamless sleep state we are not aware of anything. Though we become identified with this blissful experience, with this blissful experience, we are not aware of it. We become aware of this blissful experience only when we return to waking state. So Vedantic text tells us, aham sukham apsu apsam. I had a good sleep. I had a blissful sleep. You find old people, the greatest complaint, I am not getting sleep. Then if you give him a dream, he sees a night, he experiences nightmare, it will make him more restless. So everyone is seeking a state of bliss, and the most enjoyable state of that bliss we get every day when we experience dreamless sleep or deep sleep state. Vedanta tells us that the same witness, the same Atman which was present in waking state and also in dream state is also present in dreamless sleep state. But we are not able to enjoy it when you are enjoying the bliss at that time. So sometimes many of these Vedantic texts compare the state of samadhi and the state of sushupti. Sushupti means sleep. I shall rather use this particular term in future. Sushupti means a state of dreamless sleep, deep sleep. And samadhi, which everyone knows, means the ultimate spiritual experience when you transcend the phenomenal, the empirical experiences. When you feel yourself identified with the supreme spiritual truth, Atman, it's called samadhi. So many Vedantic texts compare these two states and come to the conclusion that everyone experiences sushupti or deep sleep state every night, but it doesn't make any difference in him. So Mandukya Upanishad says, a tiger may enjoy deep sleep state, but it comes back as a tiger. It doesn't bring about any change in it. Tiger, animal, anything, whatever may be. But if an individual practices spiritual discipline, leads a moral life, practices internal and external discipline, and as a result of long practice of spiritual disciplines, when he experiences the samadhi, he returns as an enlightened man. It transforms him into a Jivan Mukta, an enlightened man. He may continue living in this world, but he will never feel at home in this world. He can live in this world without becoming part of this world. As a Jivan Mukta, he lives. So, the Mandukya Upanishad analyzes the supreme reality and it explains this Turiya or Atman, which is present in all the three states of human experiences. And it is this Turiya which is the Atman as the Antaryami or the immanent reality present in every being, and it is also the supreme reality which is the source of the whole creation, and which is the sustainer of the creation, which is also the ultimate source of dissolution of the universe. Now, this is one point you have to remember. When you go to this Mandukya Karika, which is the textbook, which is the commentary on the Upanishad, you find that book is divided into 4 chapters. It's called Prakarana. 4 chapters. 215 verses written on this Upanishad, which contains only 12 mantras. And this commentary is divided into 4 chapters. Each chapter is called Prakaranam. The Agama Prakarana, Vaidhatya Prakarana, Advaita Prakaranam, and Alata Shanti Prakarana. This is how the Karika is divided. The first chapter explains the philosophical and spiritual significance of the Mandukya Upanishad text. The second chapter is called Vaidhatya Prakaranam. Vaidhatya means illusoriness. It establishes the transitoriness, the relativity or the illusoriness of all worldly experiences, and establishes that Atman or Advaita is the only supreme reality. The third chapter is called Advaita Prakaranam. So first Agama Prakaranam, which explains the text of Mandukya Upanishad. Then Vaidhatya Prakaranam. Vaidhatya means illusoriness, which establishes the illusory nature of the world, or Dvaita, or dualistic standpoint. The third Prakaranam is called Advaita Prakarana. It presents the arguments put forward by various rival schools of thoughts, like the Sankhya philosophers, Nayayika philosophers, the Vaisheshikas, and also Buddhists. And the fourth Prakarana, the fourth chapter, deals with Alata Shanti Prakarana. How an aspirant gets out of this cycle of life and death by realizing that is the Turiya, the Atman, which is the witness of all experiences and which is not subject to any experience. One interesting and very important characteristic of this text that we are going to deal with, Mandukya Karika, is this. This book, written by Gaudapada, uses many terms which are very common in some of the older Buddhist philosophical works. And we should always keep in mind certain important doctrines of the Buddhist philosophy in order to fully understand the significance of this text. I shall give an outline of the evolution of Buddhist thoughts, and then we'll come to this text. This should be kept in the background as we proceed further. Now, as we all know, Buddha was born in 560 BC and passed away in 480 BC. There are 2-3 dates attributed to Buddha's life. There is some dispute among many scholars and historians as to the period of Buddha's life. But this is more or less a generally accepted period of Buddha's life. He was born in 560 BC and passed away in 480 BC, means 80 years of life. Now, Buddha actually didn't preach much metaphysics or philosophy. He was neither a theist in the conventional sense, nor an atheist like the materialists. He was an agnostic. He didn't bother himself with the fundamental questions of human life, with the high transcendental ideas of human existence, Atman or soul or anything. Buddha was very much concerned with leading a moral life in this world. So he outlined his teachings and doctrines in the 8 noble paths and also the 4 noble truths related to dukkha, means there is grief, there is cause of grief, there is the way out of the grief, and that is grief for sorrow. The way out of the sorrow is nirvana, all this. The Four Noble Truths related to sorrow and Eightfold Path to get out of this cycle of sorrow and life and rebirth. And his ideas were outlined in a set of books called Tripidakas, Sutta Pitaka, Vinaya Pitaka, Abhidhamma Pitaka, which were written in Pali language, because Buddha mostly preached in Prakrit. Pali was the language in which all these things came to be written later after Buddha's passing away. Now, almost 500 years after Buddha's passing away, 4 distinct schools of thoughts emerged among the Buddhist monks. Just remember, nearly 400 or 500 years after Buddha's life. 4 schools of thought emerged. Among the 4 schools, there were 2 schools of realists and 2 schools of idealists. The realists believe that the external world is real, and the idealists believe that the external world is unreal. The realist schools were called Sautrantikas and Vaibhashikas, the 2 schools related to Hinayana Buddhism. And the idealist schools were called the Shunyavada and Vijnanavada, related to the Mahayana school of Buddhism, which is very popular in Tibet, China, Japan, and many countries. It's called the Mahayana Buddhism, related to Vijnanavada and Shunyavada. These are the 2 schools of idealists. Now, Gaudapada uses many terms which were prevalent, which are commonly used by the philosophers of the Mahayana school, the idealistic schools. That is the Shunyavada of Nagarjuna. Nagarjuna was the most prominent figure in the Shunyavada tradition, and his book, which is known as Mula Madhyamika Shastra or Madhyamika Karika, is the Bible of Shunyavada Buddhism. And other school of idealism was called Vijnanavada, which is something like subjective idealism of Berkeley and others. They completely rejected external world. And there were many thinkers in the Vijnanavada tradition, Asanga, Maitreyanatha, Dignaga, and so on. Now, when Gaudapada was writing this this Mandukya Karika, these 2 schools of Buddhism, namely Vijnanavada and Shunyavada, were very, very popular. They were current in many parts of India. So, very often, and also the Sautrantika and Vaibhashika realistic schools also were popular, but not as popular as the idealists. So very often Gaudapada tries to analyze their views and tries to refute their views, because Shunyavadins believe that emptiness or voidness is ultimate reality. And Vijnanavadins believe that Chittam or mind is ultimate reality. And according to the later Vijnanavadins, mind also is impermanent. It's an impermanent principle. I won't go into those details right now at this stage. I shall straight away come to the subjects. And later, when we come to deal with those topics, I will just explain the philosophical views of the different schools of Indian thought. They are being taught at 12 distinct schools, the 6 schools of theism and the 6 schools of atheism, that I will deal with later. For those who are interested, I shall just mention right now the Mimamsakas of Jaimini, and of course Vedanta or Uttaramimamsa belongs to Badrayana, and the Sankhya philosophy of the Kapila school, and the Yoga of Patanjali, and the Nyaya school of Gautama, and Vaisheshika school of Kanada. These are the 6 theistic schools which are elaborately dealt with in the commentaries and super commentaries of Mandukya Karika. And there have been 6 atheistic schools, I mean those who didn't much care for Vedic testimony. The 4 schools of Buddhism I already outlined right now, plus the Jaina philosophy and the Indian materialist called Charvakas. Sometimes they are divided into 2 minor streams, minor schools, the Swabhavadins or naturalists and the Yadrichavadins or accidentalists. These are 2 schools of Indian materialism. So all these 12 schools are dealt with, and their views are outlined and refuted in the commentaries and super commentaries of Upanishad philosophy in general by Shankaracharya and his Bhashyas. And especially in this book, in the Mandukya Karika text, the author refers to the Sankhya view, the Nyaya view, the Vaisheshikas, and also the 4 schools of Buddhism that I already outlined right now. Now we'll come to the text. The first mantra we'll begin right now. This is the first mantra you find. Hari Om. Om iti edat aksharam idam sarvam tasya upavyakyanam bhudam bhavat bhavishyat iti sarvam onkar eva yaccha anyat trikalatitam tadapi onkara eva. This is the mantra. I shall split and try to put in prose order, and then I shall give English translation. Idam sarvam Om iti. Now, here you find Onkara is mentioned. This mantra says, whatever we see around, whatever we experience in this phenomenal empirical world is Onkara, Pranava. Now, all that is past, present and future is nothing but Om. And what transcends this past, present and future is also Om. Here is a vivid explanation. Now I shall try to explain an important point, Onkara. Now, you know, Onkara is a symbol. In Sanskrit language, this Onkara is a combination of 3 letters, 3 syllables. 3 syllables. A, U and Ma. The Upanishad and the Karikas tell us that Akara, Ukara and Makara combined together, which constitutes Onkara, is nothing but this phenomenal empirical world. Now, in Sanskrit, Akara is this syllable, A, is pronounced with your mouth open. And Ukara is pronounced with your mouth half shut, half open rather. And Makara is pronounced with your mouth shut. Now, whatever you try to explain or describe or name in this world, you can do that only with one or the other of these 3 combinations. Whatever syllable you try to pronounce are already included in these 3 processes. Either it is pronounced with mouth open, or mouth half shut, or mouth closed. Now, whatever we see around, whatever we understand by hearing, seeing, touching, smelling, or tasting, all these can be understood, thought about only with the help of a corresponding word or sound. Whatever we know, if I see a tiger, or if I see a car or train in front of me, what I do first, I try to figure out, well, this is a tiger, this is a train, this is a car or something. And in future, I try to recollect, I try to bring back to my memory this experience. At that time, I recollect, well, I have seen a tiger, I have seen a bus or a car, whatever it is. You may ask the question, suppose we see something, the name of which we don't know, then we try to recollect that object by associating, well, something which I saw, the name of which I don't know. That itself amounts to recollection with the help of words. So, we can never experience any phenomenal or empirical knowledge except with the help of a corresponding syllable or corresponding word. It's not possible. Now, the Upanishad tells us that whatever we experience, either in waking state, dream state, or deep sleep state, in this phenomenal world, corresponds to Omkara. Because all the words that we can utter with our mouth are included in Omkara, because Omkara consists of 3 syllables, which are pronounced either with the mouth shut, when it's closed, or open, or half closed. So this Omkara, in a way, corresponds to whatever experience we can have in the empirical world. And whatever experience we can have in the empirical world also corresponds to the 3 states of our experience: the waking state, dream state, and deep sleep state. So Omkara corresponds to whatever experience or knowledge that we can have at the empirical plane. This Upanishad tells us, all this is Sarvam hi Omkara eva. The Upanishad, you can see the mantra. Omiti edud aksharamidam sarvam. All that you see around, experience around, is nothing but the letter Om. And whatever we experience in the past, present, and future, we experience in waking, in dream, and also in deep sleep state. That is also Omkara. Now, next, see, Yetcha Anya Trikalatidam Tadapi Omkara eva. And what is beyond the 3 periods of time? We already studied that whatever belongs to the 3 periods of time is Omkara. And it belongs to our experiences in the waking, in the dream, and deep sleep state. The past, present, and future. And whatever lies beyond, whatever transcends these 3 periods of time, that also is Omkara. Now, here we need another explanation. When we utter this letter Om, it begins with silence, it ends in silence. We can see that. It culminates in silence. That means it transcends the empirical. It transcends Omkara. So whatever is within the phenomenal, the empirical, and whatever transcends the phenomenal, the empirical, that is the ultimate reality. Both are included in Omkara. Omkara symbolizes whatever experience we can have. So by psychologically analyzing the transitoriness, the empirical, the relative nature of our everyday experience in waking, dream and dreamless sleep states, this Upanishad slowly points out what lies beyond. When you pronounce Omkara, you find if you pronounce a long way, ultimately Om, it ends in silence, it ends in a transcendental silence where sound cease to exist. In the Rigveda Samhita, there is a well-known verse. It tells us, whatever is finite, whatever is relative, whatever belongs to our phenomenal empirical plane can be spoken of, can be described and defined by words. But whatever lies beyond the finite, that is the infinite, can only be explained or described through silence. Antaya Bahuvadinam Anantaya Mukam. Ananta means infinite. So, Omkara denotes whatever belongs to the empirical, the phenomenal. But Omkara also denotes what lies beyond it, because ultimately the letter ends in silence. So what lies beyond the empirical is the transcendental, the infinite. And it can only be expressed through the language of silence. So Omkara ultimately ends in silence. It is called amatra. It is not a mantra. So this Upanishad, as we go on studying this Upanishad, we will understand. At the beginning, it may look a bit technical, but when we proceed further, you find this Upanishad tells us about ourselves. More than philosophical ideas, it compels us to take a peep into our own inner self. Just keep our eyes and mind open and try to analyze where we live, what we experience, the world of which we are a part, the world that we live in. If we properly and intelligently analyze these experiences in waking, in dream and deep sleep states, we will finally understand there is something beyond these three states. The first letter of Omkara, Akara, it corresponds to waking state. The second one, Ukara, because Omkara consists of these three syllables, A, U and Ma. That is, in Sanskrit language, it is clearly stated. U, the second syllable U, corresponds to dream state. The third one, Ma, corresponds to the deep sleep, dreamless sleep state. And then there is something beyond that. As I said, if you can think of a building with 3 rooms, and you yourself move from one to another room, up and down, you can't say you belong to any of the rooms, because if you are confined to one of the 3 rooms, you will not be present in other 2 rooms. If you are present in all the 3 rooms, it means you don't belong to any of the rooms. You go beyond it. Then only you'll be able to be present in all the 3 rooms. So this Atman, this transcendental reality, is present in waking, in dream, and also in dreamless sleep or deep sleep states. It doesn't belong to any of the states because it is present in all the three states. It goes beyond it. Because what goes beyond the three states alone can be present in all the three states, one after another. So, right now, I am concluding. And before concluding, there is an important announcement to make. That is, we will not have class the next 2 Fridays, April 20th and April 27th, because of other programs. The next class on this Upanishad will be on Friday, May the 4th.